Hello and welcome. This video is going to lay out what guests need to do to get 5-star reviews on Airbnb. So I'm going to break down how to be a 5-star Airbnb guest into 5 categories. First, we're going to start with reviewing the listing and making sure it's the correct one for you. Next, how to message the host. After that, what you need to do before arriving, what you need to do during your stay, and then what you can do in the checkout process to make it run smoothly. So the first thing you're going to do when looking to book an Airbnb is to review the listing. So I'm going to go over where you can find the check-in and check-out times, if the host has pets or not, what type of bed that the room has, where to find the house rules, and what type of room you'll be renting, if it's a private room, a shared room, or if you're renting the whole house. So on every Airbnb house you look at, there is going to be a section called About This Listing. This is one of the first places you're going to look for information about the listing. It'll tell you how many guests it can accommodate, how many bathrooms are in the house, what bed type it is, and this is important because sometimes you can rent a futon, sometimes you can rent an air mattress. You want to make sure you're renting something you're comfortable with. Next, you're going to want to look at the check-in and check-out times on the listing. For instance, if you know you're taking a 4 p.m. train into the city you're staying in and their check-in time isn't until 7 p.m., this might not work for you. So make sure your check-in and check-out times are what meets your schedule. Next up, look if the owner has pets. This is very important. I cannot tell you how many times we've had people stay with us that are terrified of pets, so please look at this section. And then finally on this page, you want to see what type of room it is. If it's a private room or if it's shared, you might be in a common space of the person's house. So then the last step of reviewing the listing is reading over the house rules. Make sure that you're able to follow all these, and if you are, then you're ready to message the host. So now you're on to messaging the host, and this is one of the most important steps because it's the first impression the host will get of you. So we're going to break this down into 4 basic areas. How to introduce yourself and the guests you're with, say why you're in town. If you need to drop off luggage early or leave it later, you should probably say it in the original message. And then if you do get a pre-approval, making sure that you accept it or decline it. Don't let it expire. I forgot to mention, on each listing there's going to be a section that talks about the host. Make sure you read this over and that the person is someone you would be comfortable staying with. If they are, go ahead and hit that red button that says Contact Host, and we'll walk you through how to send your initial message. So here's an example of a message you could send to your host. Hi Christina, my name is Nadira and I will be traveling with my boyfriend Tucker. We are looking to stay in Philly April 25th to the 26th. Are these dates still available? We are coming into town for a friend's wedding and excited to explore the city. We saw that your checkout time is 10 o'clock a.m. Would it be possible to leave our luggage at your home after checkout? We would be looking to pick it up at 2 o'clock p.m. before heading to the airport. Also, we saw your check-in is after 4 o'clock p.m., so we should arrive around 7 o'clock p.m. for check-in. Please let us know if you have any questions. Thanks, Nadira. So this message starts out strong because it identifies who will be booking the listing and which guests will be traveling with them. Next, you say why you're coming into town, and this is important because it can provide your host with context of why you're looking to stay in their listing. In the message, you also should let the host know what time you'll be arriving. This is important because it'll allow the host to determine if you're going to work with their schedule or not. So this part of the message is optional. Obviously, it depends on if you're going to need to leave luggage early at the listing or leave it later after checkout. So if this is the case, just make sure you let the host know ahead of time to ask if it's okay. So once the host receives your message, they can decide if they are going to approve you or decline you. If you do get a pre-approval, please make sure you go ahead and accept it or reject it. You have a 24-hour time limit on the pre-approvals, so please make sure you respond before this expires. So you've booked your listing and you're getting ready to arrive for your trip. Before you do though, please let your host know roughly what time you're going to be arriving around. You should have done this in your initial message you sent them, but if not, you can do that now. If the host has sent you check-in instructions, please read these in detail as they were important and that's why they sent them to you. Also, reread the house rules just so you're familiar with them, and then try and arrive when you say you will. You know what, sometimes things happen and you might hit traffic or whatnot. Just keep your host up to date. Um, if you don't, they can worry about you, and it's just a lot easier if you show up when you say you will. So now it's the fun part, your actual stay. When you are at the host house, please make sure to be polite and clean. Don't wander into rooms you haven't been invited into, or start looking through closets or storage, because this probably is the host's personal space. If you want to use the dishwasher or TV or washer dryer, just ask first. There might be something finicky with it or something you should know. Also, try and keep noise down late in the evening or early in the mornings. And then common sense stuff, turn space heaters, air conditioners, fans, lights off when you leave the house. And finally, lock the door when you leave the house, just so that way no one breaks in and steals anything. So at the end of the stay, you're going to have to check out. It's always nice if you ask the host if they have checkout instructions. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Make sure you throw away any garbage you've created during your stay. Wash any dishes you've used. Turn off all the lights when you're getting ready to leave. Double check you haven't forgot any of your belongings behind. Also, don't stay past your checkout time. This is just a courtesy to the host. They're going to have cleaners come in, so please make sure you stick to the checkout time. And then finally, lock the door and return the key. And that's the end of your trip. So once your reservation has ended, your host is going to review you. There's 3 areas you get reviewed on: cleanliness, communication, and observance of house rules. Cleanliness, you're going to get 5 out of 5 because you've already thrown away your garbage. Communication, you're going to get 5 out of 5 because you sent a well-detailed message to your host saying when you're going to be coming, who you're going to be coming with. You're going to be doing great. And then finally, observance of house rules, you should be set because you should have already reviewed them before arriving at the listing. And then these 3 scores are going to combine to give you an overall rating. This will then be seen on your profile in the future when you're looking to book another Airbnb listing.